Welcome ladies and gentlemen, my name's Dychronic here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the best guns and armors to farm in Season of the Chosen. As the new season has just started, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of new activities, a lot of new weapons, a lot of reissued stuff. A lot of people are probably wondering, what should I farm and what's going to be worth it and why? And so I've decided to go over all of the different weapons that are available in this new DLC, which are 48 new weapons, as well as the new exotic armors, and taking a look at all of the different stats, the different perks, and I'm going to talk about which weapons seem the most promising and the things that I would recommend to farm. Obviously, a lot of this is very preliminary. This is just based on what I can understand from the possible rolls of stats on what I have tried, and I have obviously not tried all of the new stuff that is available. And of course, make sure you stay tuned for my weekend video. We'll be talking about the best and fastest way to level up and power grind in the game. A lot of it is obviously very similar to last season, as a lot of the stuff is still around, but I did want to update my list with all the new pinnacles and all the new stuff that I missed the first time. And lastly, before we get started, I actually have a giveaway going on right now of an Astral A10 headset and a Blue Yeti microphone. For all of you guys who do follow and support me, this is for you. Right, so moving on to the main section of this video, just wanted to preface a few things. First and foremost, there are 48 new and reissued weapons in this new DLC, and out of those 40, I've chosen my favorite 20 of them, which is obviously a lot, but there are honestly so many weapons with great stats, great rolls, great replacements, and just they honestly overwhelm me by how good they are. So this season, we have a lot of great options. I can almost guarantee you're going to have a weapon that you like that's not on this current list, so you really do have to go out there and figure out what you do like, because honestly, there's so many good ones this season. First and foremost, I wanted to talk about the new exotic armors. Each of the classes got a new exotic chest piece, and out of those 3 different chest pieces, I really like the Warlock and the Hunter one. The Titan did get that new Superman Thunder Crash thing, which is great because we never really had a Thunder Crash specific exotic, but I definitely think the Hunter and the Warlock one are much more powerful. First up, for the Warlock armor, we have the Mantle of Battle Harmony. With this exotic, takedowns with your weapon that have a damage type matching your subclass element, meaning that if you're using a void weapon with a void subclass, for example, will grant you super energy. And while your super energy is full, instead you gain a temporary bonus to weapon damage of that type matching your subclass element. What I really like about this is the fact that it really improves your neutral game. Instead of using Phoenix Protocol with your Well of Radiance, you can use this thing to get your supers faster, but it also helps your neutral game when your super is full. Similar to how Hellfire Heart increases your ability regeneration, you don't have to worry about having a full super and wasting that time. You get a bonus the whole time. Next up, the new Hunter exotic, which I have honestly no idea how to pronounce the name of this thing. Maybe Omniculus, Omnoculus, I don't know, let's call it the Omni chest. With this armor, you gain a second smoke bomb charge, i.e. an extra melee for void, and have damage resistance while invisible. And when you make an ally invisible, like with Way of the Pathfinder, they get damage resistance while invisible, and you gain melee energy. What I like about this exotic is that it's an alternative to the 6 Coyote. Instead of just using Gambler's Dodge and getting multiple dodges to get more melees, this dodge charges a lot faster than melee. Instead, you're getting an extra melee, and then you can still use the Gambler's Dodge to get more melee, still have overflow charging with your melees, but also getting damage resistance. Now, in a technical scale, it's still probably better to use 6 Coyote because, again, you recharge your dodges a lot faster, and, you know, overflow charging in your melee is not that significant, but it is an alternative, and depending on how much damage resistance we get, could save your life. Up next, let's get into the weapons. First and foremost, we have the Messenger and the Premonition. Both of them are 340 pulse rifles, one is kinetic, one is energy, so you have options if you want either one. The Messenger actually has the Desperado perk, which used to only be part of the Redrick sets, allowing you to fire a lot faster when you get a precision headshot and reload. And with that, it also has a bunch of other really great perks like Rapid Hit, Outlaw, and similar stats to Redrick itself. Premonition is similar with good perks and is in the energy slot. Up next, we have the Astral Horizon. Now, we've obviously seen this in the past few seasons. It gets reissued basically every season with Trials of Osiris, and in this issue of it, we actually got autoloading and trench. And I have told you guys for years, autoloading and trench are some of the best things that you can have on a shotgun, especially aggressive frames, which oftentimes have the best use with trench barrel, as the melee doesn't really encompass that much of the total DPS. And as a personal note, we really only have one PvE kinetic shotgun option, and that's Heretic. Blasphemer is another slug shotgun, and all the other ones are not really that great as far as the perks go. So this is the only buckshot kinetic shotgun option we have. It's a great option, don't get me wrong, and so is Heretic, but I want some more. I miss my perfect paradox. Up next at number 5, we have the Blasphemer, a slug kinetic shotgun with some of the best PvP perks in the game like Quick Draw, Opening Shot, Ecrise, Surplus, and the curated roll has the best possible roll, which obviously drops more frequently. And in case you don't know, a lot of Moon and Dreaming City stuff got reissued, and this is one of those weapons that is up to the maximum level. Up next at number 6, we have the MultiMAX CCX, which is going to be the lightweight frame Iron Banner SMG with the perfect 100 recoil direction, just like Recluse has, and it also has the ability to have Kill Clip, which is one of the best damage perks that you can have on SMGs. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a lot of reload options that work well with the weapon, but with the buffs that we got this season with SMGs, removing the camera shake, SMGs are a lot better. Up next at number 7, we have the Exile's Curse. Again, another Trials weapon that got renewed with some new perks, including a perk that we've never seen before called Kickstart, and it works incredibly well for fusion rifles, giving it a faster charge time and more damage for sprinting and then sliding, which obviously happens all the time in PvP. Definitely something that could hark back to the Retold days, on top of the fact that they also buffed fusion rifles that have better range this season. So fusion rifles, and this one specifically, might be tearing it up. Up next at number 8, we have the Salvager's Salvo. A lot of people talking about how this is going to be the new Mountaintop, because it was supposed to be, but in my opinion, it's going to be very similar to that of the Truth Teller. First of all, it's an energy weapon, meaning it does inherently less damage than that of kinetics. But more than that, it also has some really good perks to it. Things like Quick Launch, the Spike Grenades, Ambitious Assassin, Demolitionist, Vorpal, Chain Reaction. Incredible size of perk on a static roll, meaning that anybody can get this and then have the best possible roll. And I do think this is going to be more of a PvE weapon because of the perks that were chosen and how it functions, and also it doesn't explode on impact with a surface, which I thought the grenade launchers were going to do based on their wording, but instead they just made them more consistently exploding on target hits, which seems to me like something that should have been in the game from the beginning. Up next at number 9, we have the Bottom Dollar and the Ingenious Hammer, both of which are energy 120 RPM hand cannons, which obviously many of you know do really well in Crucible and in PvE. We finally have an energy option, both of which have really good perk options, and the Ingenious Hammer obviously being harder to get, but also better stats and a bigger mag in almost every way. Up next at number 10, we have the Palindrome, a Destiny 1 favorite hand cannon, which is in this game a 140 RPM Void hand cannon, one of the only Void hand cannons in the game right now, not currently sunset, and it has a 98 recoil pattern, which means it's nearly perfectly straight up and down. On top of the fact of also having very decent perks and an adept version from the Nightfall. Obviously, we already have a lot of energy hand cannons that are really good, like Nations of Beasts and Ancient Gospel, but this one fits right in the Void version. And again, it has the adept options, which are obviously slightly statistically better. Up next at number 11, we have the Third Axiom, which is an ARC 390 pulse rifle, i.e. a great replacement for Geon 7, which is going to be sunset next season. Pulse rifles, and this one in general, are going to be great for Grandmaster Nightfalls, but this one has a lot of different perk options, so getting the perfect roll might be a little time consuming. But it does drop pretty frequently as it's a Vanguard drop. Up next at number 12, we have the Retold Tale, a reissued Dreaming City exotic that used to tear it up back in the Precision Buckshot days with the Dust Rock Blues. However, obviously the aggressive shotguns did start to take over when they nerfed the one-shot range of those particular shotguns. However, I feel a lot of the reason why there's not a lot of Precision Buckshot frames being used right now is because we didn't have a lot of available. We only really had that one from the Garden of Salvation. And now with the return of Retold Tale, we have one with some pretty incredible perks, things like Quick Draw Surplus and Vorpal. Up next at number 13, we have the Brass Attacks, which is a 2-burst aggressive frame Void sidearm, so basically your Breachlight but in Void version, with incredible perks like Frenzy, Surplus, Rampage, Wellspring, Rapid Hit, etc. There is a lot of great options, and I absolutely loved Breachlight, so I look forward to using this. And we also technically did lose a lot of 3-burst sidearms for energy. We obviously still have Last Dance, but we did lose some, so it's good to have a replacement early. Up next at number 14, we have the Far Future, an almost beloved tier sniper with solar damage and only 6 less aim assistance, on top of also having an incredible slew of perks, including Quick Draw, Surplus, Moving Target, Opening Shot, Frenzy, and maybe even Demolitionist or Wellspring. A lot of incredible options, and also a good sight with a good zoom level of 45, meaning that it has good aim assistance while also being a little bit closer range, which is usually preferred. Up next at number 15, we have the Threaded Needle, which is obviously a linear fusion rifle, and linear fusion rifles generally suck. However, whenever they figure out that linears suck and they buff them, this is probably going to be one of the best ones for PvE because of the perks it has available. Things like autoloading, field prep, and Vorpal are going to do really well for linears when they get buffed, which they should get buffed. Up next at number 16, we have the Swarm, which is basically just a replacement for the Saw, which is Season of the Worthy, which will be going away next season. And this particular version is a great heavy machine gun. It does arc damage, has pretty common stats, and good perks on it. Coming up at number 17, we have the Code Doula, which is one of my favorite archetypes of rocket launchers, the high impact, favored for their large blast radius and their good handling. And it also has some great perk options like Ambitious Assassin, autoloading, and field prep, which are great for PvE. On top of also having good perk options for PvP, and again, I still think high impact are going to be the best option for rocket launchers in general. As a little note here, I don't know if Lasting Impression, the new perk that increases the blast radius by 50, works past the max blast radius, which high impacts have a blast radius of 95 right off the bat. I don't know if it increases it by much or if it goes past or the maximum. I don't know. Coming up at number 18, we have the Heretic. Yet again, another Moon reissued weapon that has lots of great PvE perks that drops from Altars of Sorrow, from the Pit of Heresy, and it also has a low blast radius, which may work better with Lasting Impressions, which again gives you 50 more blast radius, and again, if it maxes out at 100, this will be the better option to use that particular perk. Up next at number 19, we have the Sleepless, the only rocket launcher with Vorpal plus autoloading, which is obviously a great option for PvE, doesn't depend on some weird interactions. Otherwise, it's also got a lot of great PvP perk options. And again, high impact frame, large blast radius, great handling. I love these things. And finally, at number 20, we have the Soulless Scar, one of only 2 caster frames in the game, which allows you to have a ranged attack with your sword, while also still having the versatility of having really good DPS in close range. So much so that I actually put the Temptations Hook in my top 10. I believe it was at like number 6 or something. A very good option. Again, versatility, being able to burst down those champions and having range of breaking shields. This particular one is going to be your solar version. Now, it does not have Whirlwind Blade, but in the higher level play, it doesn't really come out that often. Instead, you can have something like Vorpal for much more consistent damage against champions, mini-bosses, and bosses, or you could have Chain Reaction, which is something I did not expect to see on a sword, allowing every kill you get on enemies to explode, which sounds dope. And that's going to be pretty much the end of the video. Again, there are so many cool looking new weapons in this DLC. There are so many just different weapons in general. Obviously, there's going to be ones that I missed that you probably think are really good. So please let me know in the comments down below, because I, like you, play a lot of Destiny 2 and I want to know what's good and try them out myself. Anyways, that's going to be pretty much the end of the video. Big shout out to my patrons on Patreon. Without their help, a lot of these videos would not be possible. Definitely wouldn't be possible to do my spreadsheets every time, as they take a lot of time and make no money from them. Specifically, I want to give a big thank you to Medibuju, Mom Dad, Shadow Moon, Joe Smith, Monday, Natalie Hoppin, Steve Ochnowitz, Justin Ray, Raymond Showman, and Unipanther for their support on Patreon. And if you want to be part of this list and make it harder for me to say these as fast as possible, check a link in the description down below to my Patreon. But yeah, that's going to be the end of it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name is Dychronic, and I will see you guys on the next one.